Hi everyone, my name is Jezuz. The performance today is based on the theme of acceptance and what that's looked like in my life. So over this last year, I kind of sat with acceptance. That's a pretty broad theme, right? In the process of writing this publication, my sister actually ended up in the hospital. It was a really difficult thing to sit with, and in writing this, it kind of felt like a reminder to myself that you can do nothing about this except accept it. As a queer immigrant child, I used my wit to get from my environment the things I needed. The more I seemed to know, the less impeded and more moved I felt to succeed, finding patterns in the way people move and homing in on those needs, people-pleasing. Always doing as I'm told and never speaking, and through acceptance of this knowledge, regardless of the ways gained, I can stand tall in the knowing that the ivory tower is not for me. This course I had chosen left me feeling and wait for the days I was no longer reeling from the very believing that I could be limitless. Expectations on my back like Euclid's pillars, but I, with deep blue hues of defiance, painted on the ceiling, protesting. Unwilling to accept the fact that I've become complicit in my own exploitation. Reminiscent of the many times I refused to listen to the messaging of my spirit, I let myself burn, thinking that the fire would engulf me, giving birth to the newest, most apt version of myself, the version most fit to set foot into the tower. Blue in the face, the burn off my body like a blind and seething rage, no longer willing to be contained, the firebird spread its wings and released every semblance of chain for the cyclic and surefire change of the wind's direction. In time, I came to realize that the change here needed was not of myself, but having to accept it for better or worse, regardless of the expectations, was the key to a self-imposed prison. Now, I refuse to be complicit in the expectations and exploitations of myself. I've accepted this as fact, the knowing that I am meant for more. More than the scraps I've been thrown by monsters mending pipelines that they've helped to destroy, because I can recognize leakages in myself. Thank you. So in kind of like moving through as an immigrant child, having that feeling of not being good enough, especially in these predominantly white spaces, very regimented spaces, I had a lot of anger for that. And in the last few years and in sitting with acceptance, I've realized that anger doesn't serve me. It's not mine to hold. This is a system, and I can battle the system, but I can also help to reconstruct it. This is called I Choose to Grow. I've been removed of my roots, yanked from my home and transplanted into soils desolate and devoid of substance. But I choose to grow. I've been removed of my roots. I've been stripped of my shoots and the leaves which grew towards the sun, beckoning the rains. But I choose to grow. I've been removed of my roots, placed in pots where no rest comes to those who refuse superficial maturation. But I choose to grow. I've been removed of my roots, but I can still choose what does and does not belong to me. My body, my spirit, and my sphere of understanding. I am not demanding I be returned, for I wouldn't recognize myself amongst the wreckage, amongst the grasses and leaves, wild flowers in the trees grounding me to the connection severed from my line. I've been removed of my roots, but still, I choose to grow. There will come a time when growth is not an option, when the weight of the world around will have you find the sun again. A time when the sirens will call to help raise your ships from the wreckage, seeing you off to voyage, again reminding that power is your prowess. Oh, how they'll sing in your favor as your stem reaches up, rising, giving life to a wholly new version, fully realized. And they'll mourn the loss of you, as their limitations and their lives could do, but love them just for what they were and hate them not because they wouldn't root where you were meant to grow. Understand that your soils and your souls have been tied together lifetime after lifetime, choosing to release and accepting situations as they are. Because do or don't, it doesn't matter. No one should have to suffer for you and your growth. I hope you see that. And if you can, I wish you well. This next one is called Release. Letting go is the only way I know to save this moment. I cannot cling to the feelings I felt already, as in doing so would only end in destitution. I'm resolute, equipped, and willing to let myself feel as it comes and let it go just as easily. This moment was not meant to save, elate, or degrade me. It just is. Losing, in this sense, is the only way I know how to win. Not favor, but the sense of understanding. A knowing that all is not for me. So I learn to revel in what is, and then I simply release. Acceptance, in the way I describe it, is this thread, right? I think in all of this, the biggest thing I've taken away is acceptance is the only way that can drive you forward. And it's the only way that you can thread the pieces of yourself and your past and your future that are maybe not your favorite, maybe not things you like to think about, to the things that are yet to come, whether that's in your favor or otherwise. So I will leave you with this. If direction is the needle, then acceptance is the thread. As it sows, it occurs to me that this thread is acceptance. As it flows in an upstream direction, I remember that the driver is mine to a point. The very tip, tapping on the thimble. This direction is simple to flow in, but with a slam of the brakes, change can halt it all. As I open the car door, stepping out, the draw of hands is revealed. And from this position, I understand that acceptance is the only thing that binds me to the wheel. You reap what you sow. By threading fate, actions that you carry out are tied to you and the true, actual reality that results as a consequence. For me, it's plain as day to see that an acceptance is the only way to live. Thank you.
That was Jezuz, killing it from Las Vegas. We appreciate it. We did have the festival director come over for just a second because Jezuz was actually one of our emerging artists last year here at the festival. So to see Jezuz now coming and being on the larger stage is really such a treat. And